taking you with me. Do what I say when I say it.
You got any advice on the best way west?
Yeah, go east.
Alright, so I hope by now everybody has saw the first episode of Last of Us on HBO Max. I've been super pumped to see this show. I'm so glad finally got it. Big fan of the Last of Us series. Big fan of the Last of Us game. Huge fan of it. And I was very excited to see this series. Pedro Pascal was cast as Joel. They got the girl from Game of Thrones that was the Queen of the North. She is going to be playing Ellie. And I'm pretty hyped. Seeing their performances in the first episode, they're like, it's gravy. You know what I'm saying? This is going to be probably their best acting performances to date. And yeah, very exciting. I'm pretty sure what a lot of us Last of Us fans that have like played these games over and over are going to do. We're going to look for all the things that are different in the show, right? And all the changes they make. But so far, I don't care. Like, the changes they're making are really good. Like, the one change with Sarah at the beginning, and she walks into the neighbor's house, and she's a zombie and stuff, you know. She's one of the infected. That's a better change from the game, because the game, you're just, in your house, and then one of the neighbors breaks through the glass, and Joel shoots him with the gun, right? That's how you first get introduced to the infected in the game. And I feel like the change they made in the show made it way more interpersonal. Like, you see these people before they get infected, and they're just like elderly people taking care of like their elderly, like grandma or something like that, or mother, And the build up to her turning, is great. There's a shot where you see Sarah's face, and in the background, blurred, you see the old lady, and she's like starting to turn. She's like twitching and stuff like that, just like an infected would do. And it's such a great build up to her turn, and it's a great way to introduce the infected into the universe like that. And it's more personal than what you see in the game, because in the game it's a neighbor that you have no connection to that breaks through the glass, right? But now it's an old lady that you've had an interaction with. You've seen, the interactions with this neighbors, and then you see them infected. And that part where Joel is in the truck, Joel and Tommy and Sarah in the truck, and they start driving out of the cul-de-sac, and they run over the dude because he's infected, and the other neighbors don't know that, and they run over, they're like, what the hell, Joel? Like, and then they get attacked. You see them get attacked in the background because they're trying to help, but they don't realize that the infected are eating people right now. Great stuff. The opening of the first episode, where they're talking about how fungus is more dangerous than viruses because we can make, antidotes and stuff for viruses, but we can't do that for, fungus yet. And that was a great cold open to the show, because the stuff about the virus and what happens to the rest of the world isn't really talked about in the Last of Us show. I mean, in Last of Us games, But I feel like in this show, we're going to get more about what the fungus is, what is happening to the outside world and stuff like that. I feel like we're going to get a little bit more of that in this show, because they got to expand. They got to add more stuff, because they went through the complete beginning part of the video game in like an hour and 20 minutes in that opening episode, which was awesome that it was an hour and 20 minutes. It was like a feature length for an episode, which is great. I listened to the podcast, the companion podcast that goes with the show, and they said the original cut of the first episode was Joel dumping the kid's dead body into the fire. That was the original ending of the first episode. And then Warner Bros. Was like, no, you can make it longer. We can make this longer. Introduce Ellie and stuff like that, which was a great decision. That's what they needed to do. They needed to introduce Ellie. That was a very, very smart decision. Because the actor playing her, like, the second she started saying fuck and like being sarcastic the way Ellie is, I'm like, wow, they captured this. Like, they've captured her perfectly. Like, when she was initially cast, I'm like, she doesn't really look like Ellie that much. That was like what I was hung up about. But seeing her performance, she kills it as Ellie. Like, she's gonna kill this. Like, this is gonna be nothing for her. This is gonna be very easy. Pedro Pascal as Joel, also amazing. Watching him, hold Sarah as she died at the beginning. It was just as emotional. I watched the episode for a third time, and I was tearing up. Like, like I've seen this moment in the game like 1,000 times. I've now seen it in live action on the show 3 times, and it's still making me tear up. Just Pedro Pascal's reaction and adding the Tommy, so help me, Tommy. Like, that line right there was added. That wasn't in the game. I don't think Joel ever says in the game, help me, Tommy. He's just focused on Sarah dying, right? But in the show, like, that moment where Joel's like looking for Tommy for help, and Tommy just can't do anything because Sarah's gonna, she's already bleeding out and stuff. God, that stuff was good. And I hear the actors talk about that moment, and they said they didn't really rehearse that much going into that scene. So, that was probably like a 1 or 2 take thing, and it came out really well. I'm shocked how well it came out, and that just goes to how well this show is going to play out, really. It's got, I think, 9 episodes, right? 9 or 8. If every episode could be an hour, that's great. I would love that. If every episode was a solid hour, that'd be great. I don't know if it is going to be. I don't know what the time like. I think the first episode was only an hour 20 because it's a special premiere. But new episodes Sunday at 9. Sunday at 9. Very excited. The changes they make are nothing really. They're like, I'd be shocked if anyone could find any reason to hate on the show. That's a huge fan of the series, unless they do something drastic at the end that changes the whole complexion of the games. There is one thing they added with Tommy and Joel, their dynamic. In the show, Joel wants to leave the quarantine zone to go find Tommy because Tommy's been gone for 3 weeks. Now, in the game, Joel and Tommy haven't been together because they just don't mesh anymore. Like, Tommy doesn't want to be around him. Tommy's trying to, like, raise a family. And, he's seen all the fucked up shit that Joel's done in the past. And he doesn't want Joel to be around him and his family. That's why, like, Tommy's not around Joel. And Joel knows that in the game. So, like, Joel's not actively looking for Tommy. Like, they just happen to go to Tommy's place in the game because it's on the way to where they're going. And it's a good, like, rest stop, And Joel knows where it is. But they changed that. That's, like, one of the biggest changes I can notice in this Last of Us, like, show so far. That's one of the biggest changes, is that Joel has a reason to leave the quarantine zone now. In the game, he didn't. He was just doing it as a job, a smuggling job, He wasn't really thinking much past that. And it isn't until Tess dies that Joel's like, all right, now I'm really, like, invested, Like, it's not until that moment, really. Which is probably going to happen in the second episode, Tess dying. I bet you that's going to be the ending of the second episode. Because why not? Let's just get to the best stuff. Let's get to the juicy stuff. Maybe it'll be the third episode, But yeah, Tess dying is going to happen pretty soon in this show. And a lot of people don't know anything about the game, which is most people watching, like, they're going to be shocked. It's going to be great. So, like, you got to imagine, most of the people watching this show have not played the game. I would say most people. There's definitely some people that have only, like, seen gameplay, and are watching the show. And then there's people like us that play through the whole game, beat it several times, and now we're watching the show, looking for stuff to pick apart. Honestly, I'm like watching the show. I'm like, when's the bad stuff coming? Like, when is there going to be some stuff for me to pick apart here? And nothing. There's absolutely nothing. It's so perfect right now. And they better keep it up. I love all the changes. I love adding that motivation for Joel to leave the quarantine zone now. Like, it's not just about Ellie. It's him trying to find Tommy, too. Good change, And it kind of, I don't know, makes it a little different than the game. So now you can go back and play the game, and it's not the same exact thing you just watched. That's a good thing. You know what I'm saying? That's a really good thing. That's not the same exact thing, right? You want it a little different, but you want to keep the essence of what the game was. And I think they're capturing that perfectly right now. This first episode was solid as hell. I loved all the casting of all the characters. And there was a couple funny lines of dialogue I thought were really funny. Especially like Marlene and her like underboss, and the underboss is like, no, we'll take Ellie, and she's like, you don't have an ear attached to your fucking head right now. And like you see a shot of her like side of her head, and then her ear's gone. That was a funny fucking line. I did laugh for that part. So The show is super dark and serious, though, for sure. Like, they kill a kid. After they kill the one kid with Sarah, they kill another kid right after that. So, you know, people be dying in the show. They don't care what age they are. Lots of stuff happening. And the changes they're making from the game are just not an issue. They're just not an issue. I have no problem with it. Anyway, what do you guys think of episode 1 of Last of Us? Are you watching the rest of the show? I'm going to be watching every single episode. And I'll probably do a review of every episode, too. Why not? New episodes at 9. Sundays. Mark it down. I'll see y'all on the next one. Bye for now.
You trust me?